I was standing at the altar in my wedding dress when my entire family stood up and walked out. Not quietly, not discreetly. They stood up, turned their backs, and left me there in front of 300 people. And then, 20 minutes later, my father came back with police officers, and he told them I was a criminal. My name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm 30 years old, and this is the story of how my family tried to destroy me on what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. The morning of my wedding started perfectly. I woke up in a hotel suite surrounded by my bridesmaids, champagne, laughter, music. My fiancé, David Chen, had texted me at 6 a.m. Against tradition, but I didn't care. Can't wait to marry you today. I'd been planning this wedding for a year, every detail, the flowers, the venue, the menu. My father, Richard Mitchell, had insisted on paying for everything, said it was his duty as father of the bride. I should have known that came with strings attached, but I was too happy to see it. The ceremony was at 3 p.m., outdoor garden wedding at a historic estate just outside Seattle. I arrived in a vintage car with my maid of honor, my best friend, Claire. "You look perfect," she said, squeezing my hand. I felt perfect. The dress, the makeup, the weather, everything was aligned. We pulled up to the estate. Guests were already seated, white chairs arranged in rows facing an arbor covered in roses. I saw my family in the front row. My father, my mother, Patricia, my older brother, Marcus. They were dressed impeccably, looking like the perfect family they'd always pretended to be. The music started. Claire went down the aisle first, and then it was my turn. I took my father's arm. He walked me down the aisle without looking at me. No smile, no tears, nothing. I thought he was just emotional, trying to hold it together. We reached the altar. David was standing there, smiling at me like I was the only person in the world. The officiant began. "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today," and that's when it happened. My father let go of my arm, stepped back, and then my mother stood up. Then Marcus, then my aunts, my uncles, my cousins. One by one, my entire family stood and walked out. The guests started whispering, turning around, confused. I stood there, frozen, watching my family's backs disappear through the garden gate. David grabbed my hand. "What's happening?" "I don't know." The officiant cleared his throat. "Should we continue?" I looked at the empty front row, at the shocked faces of the guests. My phone started buzzing in my bouquet. Claire had tucked it there in case of emergencies. I pulled it out. 23 missed calls, all from my father, and one text message. "You know what you did." I tried calling him back, straight to voicemail.
David was talking to the officiant, suggesting we take a break, give everyone a moment. But I couldn't move, couldn't think. What did I do? I ran through the last few weeks, months. Had I said something? Done something? Nothing. I'd been so focused on the wedding, I'd barely seen my family, except for planning meetings. Claire appeared at my side. "Sarah, maybe we should go inside, get you some water." I let her guide me toward the estate house. That's when I heard the sirens. 2 police cars pulled up to the front of the estate. Officers got out, 4 of them, and my father was with them. He walked straight toward me, face cold, hard. "That's her," he said, pointing at me. One of the officers stepped forward. "Sarah Mitchell?" I couldn't speak, just nodded. "We need you to come with us. You're being accused of embezzlement and fraud." The world tilted. "What? No, there's been a mistake. Your father has filed a formal complaint. You need to come to the station for questioning." David grabbed my arm. "This is insane. She hasn't done anything." My father finally looked at me. $250,000, Sarah, from the family trust. You thought I wouldn't notice? I felt my legs go weak. "I never touched the trust. I don't even have access." "The records say otherwise." The officer moved closer. "Ma'am, you can come voluntarily or we can make this more difficult." I looked at David, at Claire, at 300 guests watching this unfold, and I realized my father wasn't here to support me. He was here to destroy me. They didn't handcuff me, small mercy, but they did put me in the back of a police car, in my wedding dress. David tried to follow. They told him he'd have to meet me at the station. As we drove away, I looked back at the estate, at the wedding that was supposed to be mine, at the life I thought I was about to start, and I watched it disappear. The police station was cold, fluorescent lights, gray walls. They put me in an interrogation room, left me there for an hour, still in my wedding dress. Finally, a detective came in, a woman in her 40s, Detective Sarah Rodriguez. "I'm going to be honest with you," she said, sitting down across from me. "This doesn't look good." She opened a folder, showed me bank statements, transfers, hundreds of them, from the Mitchell Family Trust to an account in my name, $250,000 over 6 months. "I've never seen these before," I said. "I don't even have access to the trust." "According to these records, you do. Your father added you as a co-signer 2 years ago." "That's not possible. I would have had to sign something." She showed me another document, a signature authorization form. My name, my signature, except it wasn't my signature. It was close, really close, but it wasn't mine.
"Someone forged this," I said. Detective Rodriguez looked skeptical. "That's what they all say." "Look at it closely. The way the S curves, that's not how I write." She studied it. "We'll have it analyzed, but in the meantime, your father wants to press charges." "Why would I steal from my own family?" "People have all kinds of reasons. Debt, greed, revenge." "I don't have debt. I make good money, and revenge for what?" She didn't answer. They kept me for 6 hours, asked the same questions over and over. Where was the money? Why did I take it? What did I plan to do with it? I told them the truth. I didn't take it. I didn't know where it was. I didn't have access to the trust. But the evidence said otherwise. Finally, they let me go. No charges yet, but they made it clear this wasn't over. David was waiting outside. He'd brought me clothes, helped me change out of my wedding dress in a bathroom that smelled like bleach and regret. "We'll figure this out," he said. But he didn't look at me when he said it, and I realized something. He wasn't sure. He wasn't sure if I was innocent. We went back to our apartment in silence, the apartment we were supposed to leave tomorrow for our honeymoon in Italy, the honeymoon that was now canceled. David made tea, sat across from me at the kitchen table. "Sarah, I need you to be honest with me." "I am being honest. I didn't take that money." "But you had access to the trust." "No, I never signed anything giving me access." "Then how did your signature end up on that form?" "Someone forged it." "Who would do that?" I looked at him, really looked at him, and I saw doubt. "You think I did it. I think something doesn't add up, and I need to understand what." "David, we were supposed to get married today." "I know. And now you're interrogating me like I'm a criminal." "I'm trying to help you, but I can't help if you're not telling me everything." I stood up. "Get out." "David, get out of my apartment." He left, and I sat in my empty apartment, wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt, and I cried. Not because my wedding was ruined, but because I was completely alone. The next morning, I called a lawyer. His name was James Park. I'd worked with him on a few contracts for my job. He was smart, thorough, and he believed me. "We need to prove that signature isn't yours, and we need to find out where that money actually went." "How?" "We hire a forensic accountant and a handwriting expert." "I can't afford that." "You can't afford not to. Your father is building a case against you. If we don't move fast, you'll be charged." So I emptied my savings, hired the experts, and I started digging into my own family. The handwriting expert confirmed what I already knew. The signature on the authorization form wasn't mine, but it was close enough that a casual observer might not notice, which meant someone had practiced, studied my signature, replicated it carefully. Someone who had access to documents I'd signed before. Someone in my family. The forensic accountant traced the money.
It had been transferred from the trust to an account in my name, but I'd never opened that account. From there, it had been moved again to offshore accounts, layered, hidden, but not perfectly, because whoever did this made one mistake. They used an IP address traced back to my father's office. I called James. My father set me up. We can't prove that yet. The IP address isn't enough. Then what is? We need motive. We need to figure out why he'd do this. I thought about it. My father, Richard Mitchell, successful businessman, real estate developer, obsessed with image and control. And then it hit me. The trust wasn't just for the family, it was for his business. James went quiet. Explain? My grandfather set up the trust decades ago. It's supposed to support the family, but my father's been using it to fund his projects, illegally. How do you know? Because my brother told me, years ago. He said Dad was moving money around, using the trust as a personal bank. I didn't think much of it at the time. If that's true and someone found out, he needed a scapegoat. James and I built a case. We found records, transfers, emails. My father had been siphoning money from the trust for years, hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe more. And when an audit was scheduled, an audit my grandfather's estate lawyer had requested, my father panicked. He needed someone to blame, so he framed me, used my wedding as the perfect distraction, the perfect public humiliation, made me look guilty while he destroyed the evidence. But he'd miscalculated, because I wasn't going to go down quietly. We took everything to Detective Rodriguez. She reviewed the evidence, the IP logs, the financial records, the emails, and she believed us. We're going to need to bring your father in for questioning. What about the charges against me? We'll drop them, pending further investigation. 2 days later, my father was arrested. The news spread fast. Richard Mitchell, prominent Seattle businessman, accused of embezzlement and fraud. His mugshot was on every local news site. My phone started ringing. Reporters, friends, family members who'd walked out of my wedding. I didn't answer, except for one call. My mother. Sarah, please, you have to understand. Understand what, Mom? Your father was trying to protect the family. By framing me? He made a mistake, but this will ruin us, the business, our reputation, everything. He ruined my wedding, my life. He tried to send me to prison. He was desperate. I don't care. Sarah, please, he's your father. No, he's a criminal, and I'm done protecting him. I hung up. The trial took months. My father hired expensive lawyers, tried to claim I was the one who'd embezzled the money, that I'd framed him. But the evidence was overwhelming. The IP logs, the emails, the offshore accounts. And then the final blow. My brother, Marcus, testified against him. Turned out Marcus had been keeping records for years, knew exactly what our father was doing. He'd stayed quiet because he was scared, because he benefited from it. But when he saw what our father had done to me, he broke, gave prosecutors everything. My father was convicted, sentenced to 8 years in federal prison. My mother filed for divorce. The family business collapsed, and I stood outside the courthouse watching reporters swarm, and I felt nothing. No victory, no satisfaction, just exhaustion. David called me the day after the sentencing. I'm sorry, he said. For what? For doubting you, for not standing by you when you needed me. I was quiet for a long time. I don't know if I can forgive that. I understand. You were supposed to be my husband, and you believed them over me. I know, and I'll regret that for the rest of my life. I hope you do. I hung up. It's been a year since my wedding day, the wedding that never happened. I moved to a new city, Portland, started over, new job, new apartment, new life.
I don't talk to my parents or Marcus. Claire visits sometimes. She's the only one who stayed. People ask me if I'm angry, if I want revenge, but the truth is, I already got it. My father's in prison, his reputation destroyed, his empire gone. He tried to ruin my life, and instead he ruined his own. I didn't have to do anything, just tell the truth. Sometimes I think about that day, standing at the altar, watching my family walk out, and I realize something. They didn't abandon me, they freed me, because I spent 30 years trying to be the daughter they wanted, the perfect daughter, the obedient daughter, the one who didn't ask questions, and it was never enough. So when they walked away, they did me a favor. They showed me exactly who they were, and I finally stopped trying to earn their love. I don't know if I'll ever get married. Maybe, maybe not. But if I do, it won't be in front of people who only care about appearances. It'll be small, intimate, real, with people who actually love me, not the idea of me, not what I can do for them, just me. My name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm 30 years old, and I survived the worst day of my life, not because I fought back, but because I refused to let them define me. They tried to make me the villain, but all they did was prove I was stronger than they ever knew. And now I'm free.